How is everyone doing? Has everyone been surviving the Rhode Island plague? Have we all been making it through okay? I know that my whole family was taken out for like a week with this thing. I'm barely out of the woods yet. It started out some norovirus type stomach situation and then became like the world's most coffeeest flu. And I mean like not like drinking coffee flu, but yeah, it was pretty brutal. I know we started to get really like cabin fevery, especially with, Snowmageddon happening. Um, it feels like we've all been living in this like repeating dream where we all just keep shoveling the snow out from our mailboxes. And we keep like shoveling the same driveway. It seems like it just keeps happening. And the forecaster's like, oh, it's just going to be flurries. Hello, just kidding, 10 inches. So it's been fun. It's been a true New England winter, which I think I'm actually grateful for. At the end of the day, I'm grateful. I like weather. I wouldn't live in New England if I didn't like all the weather. I like all the seasons. I've got a husky. He's really old right now, but it's always nice to have a proper snow and to actually experience all of the seasons. I think that is part of why I love living in this area so much, especially kind of we're in Richmond. So it's just you're tucked away in the woods and it can feel very cozy, but it can also feel a little cabin fevery when you've been stuck in the house, sick especially. And everyone's just like, when's the next thing happening? So I hope you are all faring well from that situation. Whatever it is, keep drinking your OJ, keep up with the vegetables, take the supplements. I think we should all just keep taking care of ourselves, and do the best we can and show support to your neighbors and your loved ones, especially if it's their turn to have the hard week. All right. So what is this segment? What are we doing? Why am I talking? I think it's going to be nice to have some offerings on the Just Folks RI podcast that aren't just necessarily long form interviews. So this is just like a little touch point in like a shorter form setting for just like the meanderings, the rumor mills, maybe some news that's, Rhode Island based, that we can all just take a pause from like our regular scrolling and just talk to each other like regular people, and share each other's, obviously feel free to comment on these videos and give your 2 cents. So I'm going to just kind of like jump right into it because there's been a couple big newsworthy items in the restaurant world. So a lot of you are familiar with the new Matunuck Atelier. I think that's how we pronounce it. Kind of, it's the new spot in town, Perry Rosso, obviously of Matunuck Oyster Bar that suffered the fire last year. He's got his new spot right in Wakefield, and the reviews are coming in right around now. They did have like their friends and family soft opening, or like their invite soft opening, but now they're open to the public, and it's a very fancy joint from what I'm hearing. There's like valet, known for like seafood, making their pastas in-house. More about that in a minute. But Google so far has them at like a 4.7. For the most part, the reviews are like, this is amazing, yay, like what a fabulous addition to the town, the atmosphere is great. There's some not so great comments as well, which is to be expected from any new restaurant sort of rollout. But some, of course, saying it's expensive, $90 to $100 per person. And maybe some people feel like the cost is a little bit too high. Their winter dinner menu on their website does kind of set a very grandiose tone. It says that it's the menu, quote, sets the stage for an unparalleled dining experience, which to me is like, is this dinner and a show? Like, unparalleled dining experience is setting the bar really high, and I'm not sure what that means. It's mean it's really unique, and I'm not so much getting that vibe as just getting like, we're going to be really great at service, really great at the food. We're farm to tabling. We are just going to hit every standard like judgment factor, like 5 out of 5. And they've probably got some, kinks to work out. They obviously boast their raw bar, which all the Matunuck oysters, on the half shell, little necks. They've got the Alaskan king crab. They even got some caviar. They're kind of doing this like seafood sushi, slight Asian vibe with dumplings and sushi. They've got fancy salads, some things that you would expect almost as like fancy casual food, like the Wagyu beef burger. Like you want a burger, but you need something that's more than just a burger. It's got to be Wagyu beef. So there's some of that. And then they do boast a pasta made in-house, which I really, really, really want to try. They very proudly on their website talk about using Filippo Drago flour, which I guess is a Sicilian miller who is revolutionizing the way Italy thinks about heritage grains. I don't know about all that, but I would like to try some homemade pasta, and it looks like they've got a lot of good options, so I would probably choose some like seafoody rendition of pasta. So if you've been over there, feel free to drop in the YouTube comments what you thought about your experience over there. Some say that the service still has some like kinks to be rolled out. A couple diners felt like they were ignored by their servers. But I imagine, I'm going to pour some grace on that too, because every new restaurant rollout always has to figure out all the training and how they're going to, what is this experience going to be for people? And a fancy experience is hard to provide, especially an unparalleled dining experience. So, I think for the most part, everyone is really excited for the new deliciousness in town and are excited to try it. So I'd love to hear what you think. Maybe go run over there, snap a few pics, send it to us. Let us know. Let us know how it was. All right. So then we also have in restaurant news, there were the Humble Grumbles. I think most of us saw this on Facebook, that Heritage Group is buying the Muse, or it looks like that deal might close sometime this year. And their spokesperson, Heritage Group's Matt Lyons, made a statement that more or less that they're going to keep like the identity or preserve what we all know and love about the Muse, as like that's going to stay there. So I don't think they're going to be doing anything really radical or different with the Muse anytime soon. I think it's going to look and feel very similar to what we're all used to. And obviously that establishment has a long history. Some of the photos I've seen of it back in the day is just like, man, if these walls could talk, old fisherman vibe feels. Sometimes don't you just ever want to go back and you're like, I wonder what this place was like 100 years ago without phones. Anyway, here we go. Also, sort of in the Snowmageddon universe, there's a lot, obviously we've all maybe have had some trouble trying to keep up with sidewalks and have had our mumble jumbles with potential neighbors or frustrations with plow companies. But I think for the most part, everyone's doing the best they can. But this definitely impacts places that are a bit more densely populated. So Providence was having quite a bit of heat in their public works department, where city councilors were basically demanding earlier this month for answers and transparency about how is this situation, how is it supposed to be handled? Was there even a plan in place? Some local residents were saying that, none of the parking bans were really were enforced, so that cars left on the road, basically plows couldn't get in. Some streets, you just cannot walk on at all. And so it's been a big deal over there. And for the most part, leadership seems to sort of be like, yeah, we could have done a lot better. And, for now, maybe neighbors just help each other out and offer, have your neighbor offer you salt or help dig you out, because we can't possibly help everybody. So, and I think understandably people are like, hey, taxes are a thing. We're taxed a lot. Maybe maybe this should be part of the plan. Like, it's not like New Englanders are new to snow. There should probably be like systemic operations in place, like some signal that there's competent leadership and anticipating that there was going to be a cleanup effort needed. And it felt like a lot of people were just let down by that. So probably by the time all of this, gets settled, I'm sure the next, 4 winters will be unseasonably warm and there won't be any snow in sight, right? So all this will just be history by then. Kind of in adjacent news, there is a Peter Alviti. You guys might have heard. He is he was the Rhode Island Department of Transportation director. He is resigning, I guess, effective at the end of this month. And he's kind of known because he came under a lot of fire after the Washington Bridge closure, December 2023, about a little over 2 years ago. And a lot of, rumblings about, how disastrous this was handled, that the bridge closure was handled. So of course he's going to step down, but he is very emphatic and even put out a statement, saying that, no one asked him to step down. It had nothing to do with his performance. And he says basically to anyone who is giving criticism to the contrary that, like, rest assured, quote, I will be paying close attention between now and August to everything that is said publicly about this. So this might not be like the best take that he could have, like, or way to comment, because people are sort of paralleling this with this 2016 video resurfacing where he kind of like wags his finger at a guy in a public meeting about the 610 connector project. And he kind of famously said, like, let me tell you something, pal, and got really in the guy's face. And there's just kind of heated Rhode Island dude energy about it. And I don't know, maybe he could kind of tone it down a little bit, maybe just a little bit. But anyway, so serving as interim director is going to be Robert Rocchio. Excuse my pronunciation, but he was the chief engineer for infrastructure for RIDOT. We'll see where that goes. So it kind of ends up connecting to sort of more general, broader Rhode Island politics, because who commented on this is going to be, so the governor's, the incumbent, okay, so that we have Governor McKee, but the Democratic challenger is Helena Folks, and she had basically said that she would fire Alviti if she won, because kind of all the bridge nonsense. But if you're kind of like me, you're like, who is Helena? Well, that name might ring a bell because she did run for governor at 2022, I believe, and she's known mostly for her work that she did at CVS. She's a Harvard graduate. She helped facilitate purchasing for like the Target's prescription business for CVS. She also was part of like their CVS's move away from selling like cigarettes as sort of a way to position themselves more as like a healthcare company. And she kind of does come from like a political family a bit on her mom's side. I think it's like her mom, like something with she's connected to the Dodds, like of the Dodd-Frank Act, something like that. You can check out her Wikipedia. But also in the race, we've got some Republican challengers. There's former model Elaine Polino, who is kind of running as like a common sense candidate. And she wants to initiate a Doge type department, attract new businesses. And there's Aaron Gukian with his Smarter plan. And he's, if you go onto his website, he's got kind of like detailed plans for try to basically repurpose Rhode Island like inside out on like an infrastructure level. But anyway, so obviously it's 2026. There's internal politics happening. And we see a lot of familiar right-left dynamics that probably not surprise no one at this point. Which leads me to kind of the last sort of like social media, I would say news in Rhode Island. It kind of made big waves in a lot of the local boards on Facebook recently. But essentially, a list was circulating, and I'm not going to like drop names here. That's not the point of any of this. But a list was circulating about essentially a list of purportedly MAGA supporting businesses in Rhode Island. And essentially there was like, it's like this Excel spreadsheet, and there's like the business name. It says like what the type of business is, their location. And then this note section, which basically allegedly is like, hey, this is the proof that this is some MAGA business. And sometimes it says just like, oh, this one's owned by a MAGA millionaire, or hey, this one has like some picture of Trump above the bar, or whatever it is. So this kind of got circulated around, and the person who was circulating it primarily was just like, hey, just kind of the angle of there's only so much money all of us that we have to support local businesses. So just in case you don't want to support these people because of their potential for, supporting Trump or being MAGA, that we, basically we don't want to support these businesses. So don't spend your money there. And of course the reaction to this was very mixed. You had a lot of people saying like, great info, you won't catch me supporting them. Or, it's some saying like businesses really should just stay out of politics and they have it coming, like if they didn't. And then you have some folks that are also like, this is like a complete shame. This is one comment. Honestly, a shame that you pick and choose businesses because of an owner's politics. So there's people who feel all the ways about this. Some are like, look, you're putting businesses on blast, and the owners might have nothing to do with how the people who work there feel. And so we're not going to support the employees of the people that work here. And like, we're going to try to put people on blast. So I think it's in general just a good reminder that we obviously live in a social media age, and we're all pretty like sensitive. And I think we've all been kind of like cooped up inside a bit, and it's hard to see like the 30,000 foot view of like we live with our neighbors, and trying to see how we're more similar than we might be different. It's just so easy to, I think, fall into this like left-right paradigm, when I think the things that connect us really are more, I think there's just more things that connect us than divide us. But if you're looking for differences, there will always be them. There will always be them. So I thought that was just kind of an interesting phenomena to like highlight, because if you kind of end up going into the comments on that, you really see every single opinion, and no one seems to be like united about whether this was like a good thing so that people can know who to support, so that you're supporting businesses that align with your views, or if it just seems like, hey, this is really divisive speak, or this is a very divisive tactic for like a community that is very small. And should we really be like getting that tribal in how we view one another? And I know everyone's going to feel all sorts of different ways about that. So that is sort of the last thing on my list today. I'm excited to also announce that we have another long form interview coming up shortly. It's going to be with Tanya of Collar Club. She's like not just a dog walker. She is so much more than a dog walker, but she's like a dog whisperer, and she does more than just like leash up your dog and like take him for a little jaunt up the street. Like, she is next level caring for people's animals. So I'm excited to showcase her shortly, so keep a lookout for that. I also have some other guests coming on that are going to be fun. I have one high school entrepreneur who makes these like crochet like plushies basically, and so you might have seen her around. Her latest ones have been like the Rhode Island, like the blue bug. So we're going to sit down and talk with her for a little while. So we've got some good interviews coming up. I'm excited. And keep a lookout too, because we're going to have a bit of like a candidate breakdown, just like basic information about the kinds of races that are happening in Rhode Island, and just some of the info that those candidates have been sharing. So we're just taking a very like neutral approach here. There's no endorsements of anything happening. It's just, hey, this is the ball field. I think most of us are just like going to work and not really looking too hard into any of that. So it can be kind of nice just to be like, who are the players this season, and how do I feel about it? So this is kind of that opportunity to do that. So if you've made it this far in this video, thank you for checking us out. I know in time I'll have like cut-ins of, you know, of some of the comments, and there'll be more on the production value side. But I figured, you know, perfect is the enemy of the good, right? So let's just roll with it. So thank you if you were here. Feel free to please like this video and then subscribe to see more. I am very I'm looking forward to warmer seasons. Looking forward to warmer seasons. To warmer seasons. I'm not even making sense anymore. All right. Have a good day, fellow travelers. Enjoy.